Story 1. How easy it was to feel connected to friends and family, and now even with the ability to connect at my fingertips, people have never seemed so far away. Story 2. I am only 19, so I have just left my teenage years, but I already miss how everything felt more exciting. Even the smallest things like staying up late texting someone or hanging out after school felt like a big deal. Story 3. Having crushes brings excitement, especially when receiving calls or messages. Discussing these feelings with friends can be enjoyable, but it seems different in adulthood. I have a deep affection for my wife, but it feels like nobody wants to hear about it. Since we spend so much time together, there's little need for texting or calling unless it's for logistical reasons. Story 4. Probably nothing. I had serious mental health issues back then, and life is much better at 44 than it was at any point in my teenage years. Story 5. I already miss staying up late gaming with friends and not worrying about adult responsibilities. Also, those random school trips were so enjoyable. Story 6. Motivation and dreaminess. I had many hopes for myself and truly believed I could achieve more. I used to have friends with whom I regularly communicated and went out. Now, I don't talk to anyone except my boyfriend. Although he is great, lacking friends feels isolating and disappointing. Story 7. You take friends for granted when you are younger because you will most likely grow apart from many of them. However, as you get older, you realize you have significant memories with a lot of these friends. For those who remain in your life, you should do your best to keep them around. The older you get, the more life experiences you have, and the harder it becomes to maintain friendships as you once did. Story 8. Hanging out with friends. The last time I hung out with someone was in 2019 when Captain Marvel first released. Story 9. Being able to eat whatever I wanted without it significantly affecting my blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, or causing weight gain. Story 10. I miss my family. Now that everyone has passed away, some days the depression feels very real, like today on Mother's Day. Story 11. The innocence. I didn't spend my teenage years going to parties and getting blackout drunk. I didn't think about relationships or feel peer pressured to do anything with guys I was uncomfortable with. A night out was watching the latest scary movie in a theater and going out for ice cream afterward. It was a wonderful experience for me. Story 12. Having the courage to dream about big things and believing in myself brought me peace from having faith in my future. Story 13. My ability to sleep and the fact that I could eat anything in large amounts without getting sick. Story 14. Being low maintenance is something I appreciate. Although I'm only 24, I remember my teenage years when I could stay up all night, sleep on the floor with just my jacket as a blanket, and attend parties in challenging conditions without access to a bathroom or water. It was enjoyable to be free of worries and simply have fun. Story 15. I had little to no responsibilities and freedom that I didn't take full advantage of. Life was much simpler back then, and the years felt slow as I enjoyed my youth. Story 16. Not being tired all the time is essential. You can live as healthy a lifestyle as possible, but stress and daily commuting can negatively impact you both physically and mentally. Story 17. The big summer breaks, friends, and the hope that having a whole life ahead of me brought. Freedom I didn't realize I had. Now I'm approaching 40 and completely disillusioned with the life path I chose. I didn't make choices that were obviously wrong. I stayed healthy, avoided drugs, alcohol, or other addictions, maintained close family relationships, and have always been employed. However, I didn't make any remarkable choices either, despite having opportunities. I decided to stay where I was and play it safe due to fear that I can't quite identify. I also kept my doubts to myself and was too shy, or perhaps arrogant, to seek advice. If you're young and not that bright like me, find someone more experienced or successful whom you trust, and talk to them. Don't isolate yourself. Then use your judgment to decide what is best for you. Story 18. No real responsibilities other than school and enjoying time with friends while experiencing life for the first time. Story 19. My knees are working well, and as a result, I have the ability to go on long runs, especially on the nature trails near my home. Running is a great way to clear my mind and gain clarity. Story 20. Seeing my friends every day, Having crushes and being free to express my desires with them has made me a memorable presence to the boys who thought I was pretty. Being polyamorous allows me to maintain those connections, but it's not the same as when I first navigated relationships without the stress of money and bills. As an adult, I have much freedom, which is nice, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm rebellious. Engaging in rebellious actions can have serious consequences. Story 21. I hated being a teenager. I disliked feeling stuck in that stage with puppy fat. My body didn't reach its true form until I was 22. Being in high school was torture. People can be very cruel. Story 22. The large groups of friends and the fun they had. Numerous parties. Feeling like the world was their oyster and anything was possible. Feeling unstoppable. Story 23. I was in near-perfect physical health, had plenty of energy, lots of friends to spend time with, and infinite free time to do whatever I wanted. I had a naive and innocent view of the world. It was quite wonderful. Story 24. Summertime, hanging in my driveway with my friends while they skateboard and we listen to the radio. 1990s music. So good. Story 25. Seeing friends every day, having no responsibilities, no bills, and feeling like I had the entire world to explore. Story 26. My health has declined as I developed a heart issue a few months ago and have been mostly bedridden at the age of 24. I would just like to go for a run or spend time outside. Story 27. In my teenage years, I went to the movies once a week with my best friend. Growing up in an abusive and dysfunctional home, nothing brought me greater joy than the movie theater experience. We tried to see every new movie that came out, regardless of plot, genre. He loved horror movies, while I preferred comedy, critics' reviews, or the cast. After watching a movie, we would retreat to his apartment to watch more films on his living room TV, whatever happened to be airing that afternoon and evening. Unfortunately, every single movie theater we frequented eventually closed, primarily due to the rise of cable television and home video markets during our teenage years in the 1980s. While some movie theaters remain, admission prices are now astronomical, unlike in the 1970s when my friend and I started going to the movies for just $2. Outside of going to the movies, I miss nothing from my teenage years. It was one big hellhole. I was dealing with severe mental illness, and the 1980s felt like a constant state of depression. I was economically disadvantaged, which deprived me of many things. My mother struggled with mental illness and was abusive. Story 28. Perfect skin and time with my best friend. We spent a lot of time in our favorite place singing together, smoking cigarettes, and talking about our lives. Story 29. How my metabolism was allowed me to eat anything. I thought I was big then, but looking back, I realized I was quite skinny. Story 30. Being picked on and treated like I'm from a less privileged background. Thank goodness for adulthood. Story 31. I miss not having a range of health issues, such as cervical disc herniation, that now prevent me from enjoying many activities I still want to pursue. Story 32. A body that doesn't hurt all the time, the energy I didn't know I had until it was gone, and the lack of understanding of what it truly takes to support oneself. Story 33. Funny enough, literally nothing. My life is better in most ways, bad but not worse in other ways. I had significant back issues and chronic pain starting at age 12. At 18, I underwent a spinal fusion. School, home, and social life were all a struggle. I am 40 now, and I honestly love my life. I have a fun job, a great partner, and a dog. I also have everything I wanted as a teenager: a video game system, legal cannabis, and access to X-Men, the animated series on TV whenever I want. Additionally, I possess most of what I need as an adult: good sleep, a supportive community, and opportunities for continued learning. All of the problems I currently face are related to healthcare. Story 34. I didn't have to worry about anything like bills or where my next meal was coming from. My only concern was finding good cannabis and how to get the money to buy it. Story 35. Bottomless refrigerator, heating, and air conditioning. Free clothes, electricity, and water. When I was assigned the job of mowing the grass, it felt like the end of the world. When I got my first car, I enjoyed the freedom until I had to pay for insurance, gas, and oil changes. I do not miss the breakouts on my back, though. So there's that. Story 36. The energy and outlook on life I would have, being naive to the real world and all the crushing and heartbreaking experiences that shape how you view things as you get older. Story 37. The thrill of first experiences. First kiss. First drink. First vehicle. Staying up late playing RuneScape and not worrying about bills. Does anyone else play RuneScape and chat in Lumbridge until 3 a.m.? Story 38. I miss being able to sleep whenever I wanted and for however long, but not enough to go back if I could. I disliked my teenage years. Story 39. The school breaks for summer and winter. I have fond memories of watching my favorite shows and playing my favorite video games during that time. Story 40. I didn't have to worry about paying bills, and I saw my friends most days. In fact, the only thing I ever had to worry about was what I would do on the weekend. I've often fantasized about what I would do if I woke up as my younger self. All I really need to do is make sure I show up at the right place and time to meet my wife. Besides that, I would exercise more, eat healthier, attempt to salvage my relationship with my parents, spend more quality time with my friends, worry less, and invest all I could for the future. Story 41. Having hope about my career and owning a home. I had amazing legs from riding my bike. The worst thing I did for my health was get my license. Story 42. I was a teenager in the 1990s, and our music was some of the best. I know every generation feels this way, but the 1990s were exceptional. Story 43. Honestly, just the freedom of spending time with friends all day, without real responsibilities, and not having to worry about bills, rent, or waking up for work. Life felt much lighter back then. Story 44. My teenage years were really difficult and cruel. I was ready to leave my parents' house and join the military at the age of 17. Looking back, many parents, including my own, had serious substance abuse problems and post-traumatic stress disorder from their own disrupted childhoods due to war and trauma from their parents' experiences. Generational trauma is awful. I am trying hard not to pass it on to my children. Story 45. For the most part, life was on a set path. Unless you made significant mistakes, you would progress through everything to reach an endpoint, and everyone in your life was there to help you get there. As an adult, it is all on you, and it is easy to fall into stagnation. Story 46. I should have taken the chance to get close to my sister. Back then, she always tried to talk to me about life, but I avoided it because I considered it very embarrassing. Now, I barely have the opportunity to talk to her due to work, and she is busy with her own life. I'm so sorry, my dear sister. Story 47. I didn't realize at the time how much fun I was having, especially compared to the other kids at school. My Saturday job paid for concerts during the week, trips to the cinema with my girlfriend, and skate parks on Sundays, as well as themed nightclub nights on Mondays and Tuesdays. I had many great times during the analog era. Story 48. Having friends and time to see them is important. I have one friend now, but I never know when I will see her next. Story 49. I miss a girl named Nicole. She was attractive and wealthy, and we would often be intimate in public. She would drive me around while selling cannabis. A few years ago, while hiking in Washington, she was attacked by a cougar. Story 50. I miss not hurting for an hour after waking up, sitting at the edge of my bed and trying to build the nerves to stand up and start the day. Story 51. The opportunities one missed. I focused solely on my grades and didn't engage in much else. Better yet, I remained in the small, impoverished town where I live, making my education with distinction practically useless here. I would have been a strong candidate for an out-of-state college with my grades, as I was even financially supported to attend school. However, my teenage perspective didn't consider the future. Now, I work as a cook in a correctional facility despite having a bachelor's degree. Story 52. The endless opportunities and possibilities for the future are probably the biggest things for me. While I miss my friends and family and the lack of real responsibilities, being middle-aged means I have more days behind me than in front of me. Story 53. reading fan fiction on Wattpad and discussing it with my friends while creating even crazier scenarios. Story 54. Doing the same thing repeatedly the next day meant having the same enjoyment again. However, as an adult, this repetition can lead to feelings of depression. Story 55. The blissful ignorance of having hope for the future and the ability to survive today because of what I believe is coming tomorrow. Story 56. Naive optimism. I remain an optimistic person despite the challenges life has presented. When I was younger, everything felt like potential, filled with questions like, what is coming? Now that I am older, I find myself contemplating who I am and what I should do with my life. Story 57. The pluripotence of life allows individuals to explore various directions freely. It promotes the willingness to try new things without the pressure of failure. Having friends and living in a world before the COVID-19 pandemic further enhances this experience. Story 58. High school. When you are a junior or a senior, life seems much more free, parties on the weekends, hanging out with the girl you have a crush on, and beach week in the summer. It was a time of not having responsibilities, jobs, or bills, fooling around in class and trying to hold in a laugh. COVID-19 impacted my senior year, but I am grateful for what I experienced. Story 59. I miss being young and attractive, as well as the overall feeling of youthfulness. Story 60. Being allowed to be dramatic and immature is something people expect from you. Now, I have to be an adult instead of resorting to conflicts. Story 61. Nothing beats the sound of parents arguing, only to be drowned out by techno music and video games. The wife's shouting doesn't appeal to me. Story 62. The optimism about the future is accompanied by a certain fear of the unknown, but there is also a strong feeling that I can achieve anything. Reality and adult life have hit me like a ton of bricks in some aspects. Story 63. My flexibility and joints that work without pain. My long, thick hair, which was once frustratingly thick, has thinned out to a point where it frustrates me in a different way. My weight, what I once considered being overweight, although I wasn't lean, would now be my dream weight goal. I also miss my naive, optimistic confidence. The older I get, the less I know, and I experience more self-doubt. Story 64. All the free time I had, with no debts or bills to pay, filled me with a sense of wonder and motivation to pursue hobbies. Story 65. The joy of participating in numerous plays with my friends in the drama club and the school chorus was incredible. We were theater enthusiasts and proud of it. Story 66. At certain points, life was really fun and exciting. At other times, it was mindlessly boring, and I felt like I had no control over my fate. However, I missed the enjoyment I had with my friends and the new beginnings that appeared. High school, discovering the opposite sex, university, social outings, and moving out. Story 67. Working while in high school without adult responsibilities allows for spending money on anything desired, along with its consequences. Fortunately, I had a job that paid every Friday, so it was never a long wait to start over again. I saved a little occasionally. Story 68. The only thing I miss is the naivety of youth. My teenage years were not pleasant, but I focused on the promise of a great future. Story 69. I'm still a teenager, but I'm about to be an adult soon. I'm 18 years old. Please tell me about things or activities that you enjoyed when you were younger. Story 70. The hope and wonder were different. They were all new experiences that taught me how to be a person. I continue to learn how to be, but after 15 to 20 years of experience, it no longer has the same exciting feeling. However, I am trying to find that excitement again, and I catch glimpses of it through new experiences while trying to remember that feeling. Story 71. Having few responsibilities to worry about and playing video games, especially attending Halo local area network parties. Story 72. It was easy to make friends and spend time with them. I am in my mid-30s, and I haven't made a new friend since college. Story 73. I miss studying and learning. I have 3 small children now, and I miss having the time to explore new subjects. I didn't appreciate the opportunity to learn at that time, but I truly do now. Story 74. I could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, in whatever quantities, and I wouldn't gain a pound. I even drank weight gainer protein powder to try to gain weight. Now I'm older and heavier. Story 75. No adult responsibilities. I came home from school, did my homework or studied if I needed to, and that was it. Also, my metabolism allowed me to eat anything without gaining a pound. Story 76. Little treats I give myself when I have enough leftover change from lunch. I pass by a Dunkin' Donuts and check quickly whenever I walk home. Now it is not as exciting because I can get my treat whenever. Story 77. I'm not gonna lie, it was the mid-1970s and I was dating quite a few girls. I had a great time. Story 78. No social media, no career or bills, no creaky knees. I could eat anything I wanted and still be slender. I wasn't self-conscious. Now I feel depressed. Story 79. Experiencing things for the first time is always special. As a teenager, entering the world fully and moving beyond childhood, there are countless experiences to encounter. While you may revisit your teenage years, it will never be the same. Story 80. I miss having the energy to stay up all night, doing nothing, eating junk food without consequences, and thinking I knew everything, even though I didn't know how to do my own laundry. Story 81. My mother's house was the last place I felt safe and secure. Most of my adult life has been spent moving from place to place. I desire stability once more. Story 82. I was single and a popular club DJ at one of the most well-known clubs in my city during the 1980s and 1990s, where all the attractive ladies went. You can probably guess what I miss. Story 83. In my teenage years, I found joy in my friends, my family's happiness, and the gatherings we shared. Now, as a 23-year-old adult, most of my friends have stopped communicating with each other. Many have become parents, and my parents are divorced and constantly arguing. Both sides of my family no longer speak to one another, and my happiness? That seems to be gone as well. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.